Hello, Casters Guild listeners. This is Rick Perry, one of your guild masters, just checking in before the start of the episode. I wanted to say I apologize for not posting for the past few weeks due to the global pandemic and other crises happening in the year of 2020. It has been very difficult to keep up with our posting schedule. I can promise you for at least this week and 3 weeks after that, there will be a cast to listen to. If not, you can always just go back and listen to our old ones. We do appreciate that. Also, on Sundays, our Twitch streams will not be as regular. I can't promise a particular posting schedule or a particular streaming schedule, but if you follow us on Spotify for the cast and follow us on Twitch for the stream, you will be notified whenever we post and whenever we stream. Thank you very much for your understanding, and I hope you remain a fan, and we will see you out there in the guild hall.
Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
It can be rolling dice, drawing cards, and moving meeples. There are a lot of cool ways to get together with your friends around the gaming table. No matter what you choose, if you play your cards right, you can always have some fun. And that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your guild master, Rick Perry, and the mayor of Meeples.
And I'm your guild master, Baron Kane, and I'm already bored with this podcast, which is a good thing tonight.
And joining us tonight for our first time is a new guild member. Say hi.
Hi. Oh, I should say who I am, right? That's how this works.
That's not
Go for it.
I'm Mike Stewart, and I don't have a pun. I wasn't told there would be puns.
Oh, I
find it's best if I spring them on Brad without telling him that they're coming.
Yeah, he gets me every time.
I guess I'll just roll with it.
Oh, nice.
Yes, hey.
So
That's
tonight,
the problem. When they get sprung on me, I don't get them. I almost didn't get that one.
So tonight we are talking about board games, box games, tabletop games, however you want to say it. Not necessarily Monopoly, but more intricate stuff.
Yeah, I think we can include some card-type games as well in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically anything that you're going to sit down at a table and play with your friends.
Oh, we're including those, are we?
Oh, yeah.
Are we allowed to do that now?
I actually don't know what I'm referencing right now.
Whatever we're referencing, I mean, like, I do have this podcast marked as explicit. So,
well then.
One of those podcasts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wiener.
All right. So tabletop games. So I think a nice place to start, especially with the members that we have on now, is maybe a little bit of your background when it comes to tabletop gaming, maybe where you started tabletop gaming, where it's taken you in life, that sort of thing.
I mean, yeah, that could be a thing. I mean, I think that we can all say that everybody in this podcast has had some experience playing board games, but I mean, I guess, going back to childhood, I mean, again, I guess we could all say that we've fucked around with Clue and some Sorry and stuff, but I don't think I started getting into the good stuff until about 2000. And
Gotcha.
That's when I started working at a game store. I was introduced to the other world of board games that I never really knew existed. Yeah, I think my first, weirdly enough, my first foray into the, I don't even know how to describe what that kind of world was back then, but I was playing cheap ass games. And cheap ass games was was pretty much just board games in a paper bag, and they were like just a couple bucks, but they were like the best freaking games ever, especially considering they were only a couple bucks.
Sure.
But then, I mean, after that, just kind of opened up from there. Really started getting into the more. Oh my gosh! When I first found a $70 board game, it blew my mind.
Oh, right.
I bought it, but and it was Arkham Horror was that game. It took me 2 years to learn how to play.
I'd say that's a heavy first buy.
It was ridiculous.
So many bits.
Oh my god, that fucking Fantasy Flight Games. That is who that is, right?
Yeah.
They have a problem. It's like they need to put as many things as possible in their fucking box. It's like we bought this box, we're gonna fill it up.
I'm sure we'll get more time to dive into this, but one thing I will say about Fantasy Flight, as many components as they hand you, one thing I will say is the components are usually really good quality, and they usually aren't shy about giving you 100 little baggies to store said components in, so you aren't rolling around the box like some other game companies.
Well, that may be a more recent development.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
I know there for a while they were really bad. They would have tokens, and then there was a token for the tokens, and you just you have a whole table full of tokens, and
all the decks.
Yeah.
There are just decks everywhere. Decks coming out of the wall, decks coming out of the boxes.
Are you saying decks?
Oh. That was a different game. Anyways, so then eventually I ended up running my own game store. And again, it was almost like being in charge of ordering this stuff opened the world all over again. Being able to look into it, and I know Mike was there with me.
Yeah.
And you know, I had him there with me to help out with the ordering, and because you know he was, I mean, you were pretty deep into it just as a fucking hobby for some goddamn reason. But and he was there for a lot of the ordering aspects of it, and just being able to see it from that side, it's amazing how much is out there. My God, I have so many games still from then that there are games up there that I've never opened and probably will never play, especially now that this, you know, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour is going through town.
The Crisis.
Oh yeah. Oh, can we just call it the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yeah, fine. That's fine. We tagged it the Crisis during our Marvel episode, so.
Oh, that's right. We're just gonna keep calling it the Crisis.
Crisis. Okay, that works.
So yeah, and since I got out of the game, I've been kind of keeping up on it. I still game from time to time. Again, like I said, you know, with the whole Crisis going on and real life, it's kind of hard to get a good board game going. But I mean, well, we'll get into it later. But one of the talking points I'm going to want to talk about is the best place to get board games, and that's Kickstarter.
Oh, okay. All right. We definitely will dig into that.
Yeah.
I'll say I started really young without realizing I was starting really young, from as long as I can remember. Like back when I was in like kindergarten and stuff, like every night when I was home and family was home, I always wanted to have board game night. Like anytime that we were just sitting around, I always like, hey, let's play some board games. Let's play some board games. I wanted to play all the things that every kid played, you know, the Trouble, Monopoly Junior, Mousetrap, you know, all those Clue, all those Milton Bradley.
We didn't have Monopoly Junior. We had full-grown Monopoly, and 5-year-olds played it too.
But yeah, and then eventually that turned into a slight Pokemon addiction, the trading card game specifically.
Oh yeah, I didn't even touch on trading card game. Good Lord.
And Pokemon turned into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I didn't take that last step. Yu-Gi-Oh! Never turned into Magic for me like it did for a lot of kids.
Good man. Good man.
I quit after Yu-Gi-Oh! At least until much later in life. Very recently, I got into Keyforge.
Yeah.
But
you got a bah out of Mike.
But after I'd kicked the Yu-Gi-Oh! Habit, I then joined the U.S. Navy and met a bunch of guys who were playing D&D and stuff down in the mess halls, which led to me meeting you, Brad, and then you introduced me to games like Munchkin, Lunch Money, Flux, stuff like that.
Those are like my fucking staples right there.
So that started a whole new habit, and now I have several cabinets in my home filled with boxes that I have purchased at different friendly local game stores and online and things like that. Conventions.
Which I did bring up Kickstarter, but yes, shop local. Shop local.
Yeah. But yeah, it started a whole new addiction, and since then I've been organizing my own game nights on and off. Obviously not right now with the crisis going on, but up until the crisis was going on all last year, I had a regular Sunday game night where we'd get together and play all kinds of different stuff until we bought Betrayal Legacy, and then we were pretty much only playing Betrayal Legacy. And then right before the crisis started, we actually started playing a game that I got on Kickstarter that I helped kickstart called Depths of Durangar, I think it was. But basically, it's a game that's played entirely in the dark, except for one person who gets to have night vision camera. It's kind of neat. I can go into more into that later. But yeah, that's kind of my history.
All right, buckle up, kids.
This is why I went and jumped in first, because I knew we were going to get a nice one with Mike here.
It's not that exciting. It's a little.
No, it's just we're in for a long ride, is what I'm saying.
No, but like everyone else, I played the normal kid games because that's kind of all you had. Mostly your roll and move, whatever game, Monopoly, Clue. We always said we played Mousetrap, but I don't think anyone ever put the old school one together and had it work.
Well, back then it was just like it was literally a mousetrap at the end, right? And you had to put your finger in it.
Yeah, you had to get the token out, right? Yeah.
Yeah. See, Rick don't know those days.
No. It's all colorful plastics for me.
The mousetrap was made completely of die-cast metal for us.
But through it seemed like through most of my teen and high school years, I resisted getting into games. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I would play a game here or there, but didn't get into it too much. And then right around the 2000-ish mark when I met Brad, we
did meet
the Raw Deal. You guys kept showing me Raw Deal, and I kind of played it, but I wouldn't go full in on it.
Holy shit! Yeah, I forgot all about Raw Deal.
I mean, there was always little games here or there that I would pick up, but Raw Deal was kind of the close one, but I still didn't get into it. And then I don't really know how it happened, but then I ended up really obsessed with board games.
Because I was really wanting to know that part of the story.
I can't really explain it. It's just like I gave up.
No, I mean, sure.
Look, I gave up resisting and started playing more games with the internet, talking to different people that made games, and just through a random Facebook ask, I ended up being on the demo team for CGE.
That was fun.
In Origins, I can't remember when that was, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the next year after, I was on the demo team for Renegade Games. That was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends and contacts through that. I still talk to today, and then got really into just kind of following the industry. And I haven't a problem with board games. This might be an intervention, or it should be. I have a problem.
Which, by the way, I guess now is the best time. Mike, we're your friends.
We all love you.
Oh my God, what a horrible way to do an intervention.
We're going to get you together on a podcast talking.
Well,
we're recording this whole thing.
I know recently I was recording my games, just trying to get a list of what I have and what I've played, what I haven't played. And when I passed 175, I just stopped.
Right. I didn't even try. I walked out of that store with all the fucking demo games. There's no way I'm going to try to figure out what I have. And then I kind of quit getting games after the store closed. You had to have kept going.
Oh, I'm still going. I can't.
Right.
Yeah. Like, do I need to eat, or I could get this new game?
I will say that one bitter point that I have with you really let me down. You didn't get on the ELO team, and I'm upset with you about that.
Funny story with that. Last year, things kind of fell apart on me, and I wasn't going to get to go to Origins. And I put out some feelers trying to see if I could get on some teams. come to find out, ELO offered me, but I missed the email, or we missed somehow or another.
Of a bitch.
Which I'm okay, because I would have been stuck with the Bunny Kingdom table, and that would have been.
Yeah, but ELO.
Yeah, and I know some good friends. So possibly in the future, I hope to be on that team. I was going to be on a team for a small team out of Canada this year for Origins, but
Then the crisis.
The crisis hit. So
this might be a weird point to make, but ELO has the best con bags. Like when you buy stuff at their booth.
Wow,
like
Rick, that's a weird
bags.
point to make.
I know, I thought so. I still use the bag that I got there from Origins the one time I went. I still use to carry games whenever I go to other people's houses for game night.
I have the standard blue. I can't remember who always gives out the blue bags at like
cool
Origins.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's cool stuff. It's the cool stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
I've got like 2 or 3 of those too.
I have a game group that we used to be up on Wednesdays, and there's probably between 40 to 75 of us, and we meet up there. Everyone has the blue bags. It's just blue bags everywhere. You better remember where you put your games.
Oh man, I will point out too that by the time this podcast is done, we're either going to have a sponsorship or a cease and desist from ELO. Specifically on me, so
you're kind
of those guys. God damn,
they make good games.
They do.
Well, especially having a kid. I mean, good lord, they got great kid games. They have great just adult games. Even the kids' games, I'm fine with playing, except that one that Lilith whooped our ass in.
She's whooped my ass in several games.
I don't like it. We're not talking about a 10-year-old, anybody listening. She was 6 at the time. Anyways.
Yeah. You weren't going to talk about that.
Well, we're about to talk about it. My favorite instance of a 6-year-old whooping an adult's ass in a game has still got to be, was it the Jack the Ripper game?
Yeah, Letters from Whitechapel.
Letters from Whitechapel. Lilith was one of the investigators, and I think Mike was Jack the Ripper at the time, and totally fucking got him on the second turn. And it's like, and the game is not. It's a bit of skill, and yeah, she got him totally by chance. It was totally by chance, but oh my god, she was so fucking happy about it.
Yeah,
she talks about it to this day.
I was so mad at that moment.
The way she's in the other room and she said that's true. What a dick.
She really is.
Ooh, okay, go.
That game was one of my first obsessions. I loved that Letters from Whitechapel game.
So
we played that.
Good.
It's really just hide and go seek. It's really.
Yeah, but the concept behind it is great. It's executed very well. It's so stinking good.
That's usually where you get the best games. There's often a disconnect between theme and mechanics. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, this is the theme we want to hit, and this is the mechanics we want to use. And these mechanics don't necessarily play into this theme. But, it's a fun theme. It's fun mechanics. Let's just go play this game. But when the mechanics really play well to the theme, I think that's somewhere you get some of the best games.
One game I thought was going to fuck up the whole theme to mechanics thing. Mm-hmm. Every time they released a new theme was Munchkin. Every time they released a new theme, I thought this was it. There's no way they're gonna make this work, and yet they did.
Oh yeah,
like the Marvel Munchkin is by far my favorite Munchkin they put out, and I was like, there's no way this is gonna fucking work.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. It's
so good.
I think because it is the least Munchkin of the Munchkin games.
Yes, it is. I'll give you that. Yep.
I haven't played that particular one. I mean, my favorite Munchkin right now is the Apocalypse. But
that's fucking harsh.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's good, but it's fucking harsh.
Oh yeah, man. I love it. I love the vault doors, like the whole thing. I love it. But I also haven't played the Marvel one, so who knows? Maybe once I play the Marvel one, that'll immediately become my new favorite.
Yeah. Yep. Next time you come up, because Mike got me the Infinity Gauntlet for it, so we should be good to go.
Nice.
It's an instant win.
Let me tell you, that was hard. Finding one promo.
Did you get it?
Yeah, that took.
Thanks. I owe you chapstick, by the way.
That took me almost like 2 years to get that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was asking for like 2 years, and I was asking everybody. It's like, if you go to a con, get it, and I will pay you in whatever way you want. And I winked at him when I said it. So
I remember it was one of the years at Origins, and I just got there early before everybody else. And I'm like, do you have it? Like, yeah, but yeah. It was like, good. Can I get 2? And now they're like, oh, come on. I'm like, no, really.
I promise you, it's for a good reason. But yeah, yeah, theme versus the system is a huge thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of games that just kind of fall short because they just seem like they want to pump out a product.
Yeah.
So
I know with me, if you put Jaws on something, I'm going to buy it. It's just how I am, and I've accepted that. And last year they released Jaws the board game, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy it either way, so whatever. And you buy it, and then you realize that the theme and the mechanics, which is similar to the Letters from Whitechapel game, kind of hidden movement, and someone's the shark and everyone else is chasing the shark. It works. Like,
yeah.
Wow, this is a really good game now.
And referencing our last podcast, the video game podcast, we know very well that sometimes Jaws doesn't work.
Well, to be clear, our last podcast, just in release order, our last podcast is Jim Henson.
Right. In reference to our last podcast, Jim Henson, sometimes Jaws doesn't work. No, I take that back. A Muppet Jaws would be fucking great.
But yeah, I would pay to see the Muppet Jaws. Absolutely. I would be there on opening night in the theater.
You kidding me? I'm thinking about crowdfunding it right now. Getting on GoFundMe right now. Jim Henson's company is going to be so pissed. Oh, wait, that's Disney. Disney is going to be so pissed. Oh, God, no, I don't want Disney pissed at me.
Never mind. Shutting down the GoFundMe.
They'll disappear me forever.
You'll get snapped.
Oh, Jesus. But no, I'm actually glad to hear that about the Jaws board game, because yeah, I seriously have my doubts about it when I heard about it. So yeah.
Well, normally that was the kiss of death. If you put a big IP on something, on a game, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. And then if it's in a big box store, it's also terrible.
Right.
That has not really been the trend recently.
Yeah, let's
Will Wheaton on that one.
And yeah, I kind of want to touch on that since you brought it up. Big box stores. I'm assuming you're talking about like Target.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Target? I mean, even Walmart. I mean, they're not doing as good as Target, but they're even putting out some good games. It's like, what is happening?
So yeah, like I said, I think you could blame Will Wheaton on that. When Will Wheaton started his YouTube show, Tabletop,
which is a good show.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent show. When I say blame, I'm not saying it in a negative way.
Right.
So he had a deal with Target where basically Target would carry whatever game he covered on that show.
Huh.
So that Target started getting, they had a tabletop with Will Wheaton section, and they'd start carrying those games that he was covering on his show. Now, when he got that sponsorship deal with Target, like, it meant he had to play some games that they wanted him to play, and like the games he wanted to play had to be cleared through them, and it was a whole thing. But then, you have your stores like Walmart, they turn around and they see Target turning a profit with these games, and of course they're going to start carrying those games.
And I will say that it was always a constant source of frustration as a business owner, a small business owner.
Oh, yeah.
That they were doing that because, I mean, everybody goes there. And if they can just go there while they're doing their regular shopping, then there's no need to go to a little specialty store. especially when they can afford to sell it cheaper.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, even then, as a consumer, I can definitely see the convenience of all that. And
Sure.
oh my
I
gosh,
was even at Walmart not that long ago picking up some crisis supplies, wearing my mask and keeping my 6 feet like I'm supposed to. But they had a set of RPG dice, like it was a little box, and you got three full poly sets, and it was only $7. And you got 3 full poly sets of dice for $7 at Walmart. You know what I mean? Like they're carrying everything now.
Yeah, I've seen you can buy the D&D books and sets there, which is
wait,
crazy.
are you telling me I can go to Walmart, get my player's handbook, a carton of eggs, and a shotgun? Jeez.
I don't know if
one
Walmart actually carries the player's handbook. I know Target does.
Oh yeah, okay.
I've seen it not all the time, but they do have it occasionally in
Gotcha.
Target. And Target actually set up a deal with Prospero Hall, and they had exclusive games. They would have the exclusive games for, I think, 45 or 90 days, and then your local game stores could get them. But
or they had Target exclusive versions. Like I remember I've seen a couple of games where it's like, you could get the game anywhere, but like if you buy it here at Target, it's exclusive box art with like a nice little extra pack of cards in it or something that you can only get at Target.
Yeah.
Faster.
Yeah, and they really had a big hit with the Disney Villainous. I don't know if you've played that, but just playing off the Disney villains and then the exclusive in this, and and it being a good game was a big hit for Target.
I've heard good things about that game. Yeah.
Even Neil Patrick Harris released his own tabletop box game, and it was exclusive at Target.
Yeah.
Entirely different climate than like we were.
Oh yeah.
Tabletop
and
games.
Again, I keep bringing it up, but that climate had just started to change as soon as I started running that game store.
Yeah, it just wasn't the timing.
Wrong time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had that going on. Kickstarter was starting to get popular.
Oh my God, Kickstarter.
And then the Great Dice Masters debacle.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I still think that game is really fun.
It was a great game. I don't think it was sustainable, but it was still a great game.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was for the Dice Masters it was brand new at the time, and it wasn't going to be a magic killer, but for the Wolf, it was. A lot of the Magic players already had their place. They played Magic. They would come to the Wolf and play as well, but with Dice Masters, it was new, and it was working well for the Wolf. People come and play in the new sets. We were running tournaments. It was starting to go pretty well, and then they had a problem with the shipment of dice. I don't know if that was the tanker that got lost at sea, or
I was about to say I've heard so many stories. There was like a train derailment. There was a tanker lost at sea. And I'm here for all of them. All of it happened.
It wasn't Dice Masters dice, but I do remember reading a article about a truck that overturned, like a semi truck.
You know what? It was that too. It
was completely full of D6s.
Yep.
And like it was just standard D6s, but like it might as well have been Dice Masters dice.
What did they say? It was like truck overturns with like 1,000,000 D6s, 47,536 damage dealt.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, the Dice Masters thing was it really could have held the Wolf back anyway, because they went almost 9 months without a new set.
Yeah, and that was the killer. You still had the old stuff, but without the new stuff, interest goes away.
Yeah.
So
they kept releasing promos, and they did a few other things, but it's the sets. People wanted sets, and it didn't exist.
Yep. But Kickstarter.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Kickstarter.
It's overwhelming.
Kickstarter's a gamble.
It is. I will give you that. But one of my favorite games was like one of the first things I ever used Kickstarter for was a game called Santorini. Mm-hmm. And that's probably one of my favorite games that I own. Now, granted, I'm a little biased because of the subject matter, but it's a good game. And yeah, that was pretty early on, but people were really starting to get into the board games at that point. But Kickstarter's really there's even some bigger companies that have gotten board games started on Kickstarter, isn't there?
Well, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken, like my memory doesn't betray me, the first game that I ever backed on Kickstarter was a little game called Betrayal at the House on Haunted Hill.
Yep.
And that one has since been picked up by, I don't think it was originally started by, but that has since been picked up by Avalon Hill and then subsequently Wizards of the Coast, if I am remembering correctly.
Yeah, that game's still very popular with the new version coming out this fall, the Scooby-Doo version.
Oh my God, stop. No.
Oh, you didn't know?
No. Shut up and take my money.
I mean, I will.
I mean, that was the game that they used to, people will make their own little Scooby-Doo figurines because it just fits so well. So now there's an official Scooby-Doo.
I've got every other version. I've got Betrayal at the House on Haunted Hill. I've got Betrayal at Boulder's Gate. I've got Betrayal Legacy. I've got the Widow's Walk expansion. I mean, as long as they keep coming up. What's that?
You're a bit of a fan, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, Betrayal. I'm sure we're going to talk about this later. What's your favorite or whatever? But Betrayal is obviously top of the list for me.
Spoiler.
But yeah, I think it was as far as big companies going. Cbon, Cool Mini or not, there's one. They kind of started doing Kickstarter for like pre-orders, and using the Kickstarter money, just to kind of reserve the game, and then they would release additional copies. But with all the costs going into making all the miniatures and everything their games had, they really went that range. And other games have followed that use minis. I know Renegade Games use Kickstarter for their Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game that had a lot of miniatures. So
did they ever just
kind of make really? They're going to make the game regardless. Really want to.
Did they ever release that Dark Souls game?
I know there are several Dark Souls games. I don't know if they released the one you're talking about.
They had one on Kickstarter, and the miniatures were beautiful. If this is the same game I'm thinking of, but I've known people that had it ordered, but it was 2 years later they still never had it.
That's always a price you pay with Kickstarter. You hope they can come on time, and especially right now in our crisis times. Do you want to? I have a couple games that I have backed and we're supposed to deliver in July. I've already been told it's going to be August.
Right.
So, how is this going to affect it?
You never know what hiccups they're going to run into, what unseen disasters they'll run into, especially if you're an early backer too, before they've started manufacturing. The game I was telling you about before, The Depths of Durangar or whatever its name is, the game played entirely in the dark. I backed that when it was still in the concept stage. And the guy had to figure out where he could get cheap enough night vision cameras in order to put in there, how he was going to do the miniatures, how he's going to do the LED bases for each of the miniatures, what he was going to do for a non-reflective material for the board, because if he did it in the glossy plastic, it would have reflected light too much, and then you could see, the players could see where they were going outside of their, miniature bases. And so I think, I backed that game in 2012, and I just got it late last year.
Wow.
So, yeah. But I will say, once we actually got our hands on it, the components are really good. A lot of thought was put into it. It is really good.
Yeah. And it's always great when it pays off. I mean, luckily, I've only done the one game and it came out great. So my experience has been overwhelmingly positive. But I mean, I also know that there's people out there that will kickstart a game that says it's going to come out in July, and then they get it July 31st and they still throw a fit because they say it's late. And you know the people who are mildly inconvenienced and it ruins their entire life.
The Karens of tabletop gaming.
Oh my God. Oh my god, the Karens of tabletop. That sounds like that should be like a fucking game in and of itself.
Somebody copyright that real quick.
Wait, as long as we post this podcast, it's technically our intellectual property, right?
There we go. Yep.
Awesome.
Anybody who wants to, we're gonna say, I want to say, right? Anyone who wants to can go ahead and make that game. We just want like 5%. Give us 5% off the top.
Put me in the game. Yeah. That's all I care about.
I'll be working on the prototype tonight.
Right. So. which I do have to say that's another thing that Mike brings to the table. Not so much me, but Mike actually has not gotten them published, but you've developed a few games, right?
I've got a few. I've got a few. I think I will never be happy with them. That's where I've come to the point, and I've designed them. I'm like, no one's gonna like this, so it just goes on the shelf. And then I bring it down and tinker with it, and then it goes back. Or randomly, I just get woke up in the middle of the night with an idea for a Tiger King dice game, and I just make it in 4 hours. So
right.
It's just, I don't know. It's an addiction or something.
I still think that we should really give that Loch Ness Monster game a chance.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be working out pretty well.
Yeah.
And
I just kept playing with it. Then I realized I had invented roulette.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Then
but I do enjoy tinkering with games, but back to Kickstarter. The thing that really gets everyone is you back the game, and you know you're going to get the game for a reasonable price, probably what they're going to sell it for. But if everyone is backing the game, it's all those exclusives and extra bonuses.
Oh yeah, that's all the extras. Yeah,
and you can get it all cheap and free at some point. You can pay the base price for a game and get all the expansions sometimes.
That was the cool thing about the Santorini that I got. I just paid for the game, right? I just got a version of the game, but I got it pretty early. So as more people backed it, they started adding on more things. So I started getting more stuff just by having paid this amount. And
I love them stretch goals.
Yeah, it's like, this is awesome. So yeah, I got like a couple expansions. I got like the deluxe version of the white box version of the game. It's good stuff.
I've only ever had one bad experience with Kickstarter, and it wasn't even bad that they mismanaged their Kickstarter or anything like that. It's just once I actually got my hands on the game, I just hated it. Like, I thought it was going to be my favorite game just because of theme alone. Like, it was called Machina Arcana, and it was like this steampunk game where you got like a character sheet, and like it was a board game, and it had different maps, and like you got to move around and pick up different stuff, and it all sounded really cool. And then once I got my hands on it and like the novel of a rule book that it came with, I was like, if I'm going to put this much work into something, I'm just going to play a role-playing game. Like
I think something feelings really bad. So that guy that developed that game is going to watch this podcast, and he's going, oh
no, he's fine. Like, it was a very successful Kickstarter. They're already working on a sequel. Like, he is not hurting.
He's fine.
Yeah, he is not. He does not care about the opinion of one guy who tried his game and didn't like it. Like,
I mean, you don't know. He can be sensitive.
That's the thing with board games. Sometimes you will like the theme and the idea of the game, and you just buy it. You don't research it. You just buy it. You get it home, and I just bought $45 worth of crap.
Yeah. That was me. That was me when I bought Arkham Horror. I got it. It was like $70. I got it home, and I looked at everything I had, and I cried. And I popped everything out, and I got all the decks separated. And I'm like, okay, other person who's with me, let's do this. Let's play this game. And like an hour later, we're like, no. It finally took 2 years later for me and another friend of mine to decide that we are going to play this game. We watched YouTube for like an hour watching other people play this game. We read over that rule book over and over and over again. And finally, we just laid it all out. And we're like, okay, we're going to do this. And it ended up being like one of the easiest games to win I've ever played. As long as everybody is working together, you're going to win that game.
We had a similar experience with the Firefly game. You
Oh
remember
my god.
that? We sat down and played. We're going to figure this game out. We're going to figure it out. And 6 hours later, we got that game figured out. It's a
What?
good game. It's a fun
Yeah.
game. Boy, that's a long game.
I own that game. I've still not opened the box once.
It's Space Truckers the game. That's all it is. Space Truckers the game.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a yellow game that is Space Truckers as well, isn't there?
I think that's what it's called, isn't it?
That's
might be.
CGE has Space Truckers.
Oh,
It's actually not a pickup and delivery game. It's actually a shipbuilding game. But yeah, the Fireflies just pick up and deliver. Very simple. Boy, it's long.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's real long, but it's good.
Yeah.
I was surprised how good it was. Actually, I was waiting for it to be just meh.
And that was
Right.
also still in the early days of if it had a popular IP, you just didn't think it was going to be any good at all.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how that translates straight from like video games to tabletop games. You know, we talked about this in our video game episode where like, you know, if it was based on a movie, you just knew it was going to be a bad game and vice versa. And now, I mean, like the movie companies are trying to make the movies based off of tabletop games and they're terrible. Now, there are good ones from way back in the day. I mean, the movie based off of Clue is an excellent movie.
You're right. That was great.
Mhm.
But the one, and it's not a board game, but the one that was based off of D&D was trash.
The one actually called Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
that was terrible.
And if you think about it, that should have been the easiest movie to make.
Yeah. You want a good D&D movie? I say go watch Your Highness.
Oh yeah.
It's not a D&D movie, but
No,
like
but it
every D&D campaign I've ever run has ended up like that movie at some point in time.
Right. So you go look at Crawl. You look at Crawl, and that's how you always picture your D&D game going. But
Mhm.
now go to Your Highness, and that's how they always go.
Yep.
So
much.
two great D&D movies, I guess.
I cannot add to the D&D conversation.
No, Mike hates it, but I get it. D&D is a game with no boundaries. There's just it's too open-ended.
Yeah.
I'm assuming just a sandbox game is just not for you.
Generally, no. I need rules and structure. It took, well, if you're going based on the like video games, Red Dead Redemption 2 took me 2 years to get through the main story.
Oh my god, it's
Mm.
you're right.
It's a great story, but I need a simple goal, and I get distracted, and I get aggravated. I just want my goal and go do
Well,
this, which is why I like board games, because you have your rules, you have your objectives, and that's what you do.
Well, D&D has come out with some really good and some really terrible board games as well.
Yes.
Well, speaking of, I believe you like one of those, don't you, Mike? The Lords of Waterdeep?
I love Lords of Waterdeep.
Waterdeep's great.
I've been playing quite a bit of that here recently till the crisis hit.
You ready for this, shocker? I have still never played it.
I think we set you up a couple times.
Did you?
Like, yeah, we had a place set for you and all ready to go, and then the store would get busy. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happened. It was once. You guys had it out once, and I think another time we were like, all right, we're going to go ahead and play it, and then we didn't get it set up, but things started getting busy, and you guys were like, well, since you can't play, we're going to skip to something else. So, yeah.
it's a simple game, really. I remember I was playing with some friends at a charity event, and we were all playing it, and it all established players who played a full game of Waterdeep in 45 minutes, and we were all proud of the fact that we got that game in under an hour.
So,
yeah.
what's your favorite tabletop game? Like, what do you, and not even just what's your favorite tabletop game, but like, you know, what do you pull out the most? You know, if you're going to have people over, and what do you hope that you're going to end up playing that night?
For me, it's Clank.
Fucker.
I love Clank. I have all the expansions. I have a group set up to play Clank Legacy if this crisis will ever end.
Oh, they
But
did a
yeah,
legacy
yes, yeah, they have a legacy version with I wasn't familiar with them, but you maybe the Acquisitions Incorporated podcast,
version.
which is kind of a D&D ish type thing. But
Actually,
they
we don't listen to other podcasts. It's
Screw you! I love Acquisitions Incorporated. Look,
I'm not
there's
familiar with.
half the reason I agreed to call this podcast Casters Guild is because Acquisitions Incorporated likes to buy up guilds, and I am ready for our takeover. Like, go ahead, buy us.
Oh
We will
no, yeah,
gladly
no.
come a part of
I'll
Acquisitions
sell out in a
Incorporated.
second.
Mhm.
I'll just let that be known right now.
But no, they have paired up with them, and that is where the Clank Legacy come with.
I,
So
I
yeah, I'm excited to play it if I ever get to see people again.
yeah, I'm fucking here
But,
for that because I'm a Clank whore myself.
Clank,
Fucking love
and
it.
they just announced a new expansion today. They've started releasing characters, so you play the game as a character. You have your own individual starting deck, and
Mhm.
they released like the Monkey Bot. If you're familiar with the card, is going to be a character, and Mr. Whiskers, the little cat, is going to be a playable character. It'll be their third expansion character pack, and they're expanding the game to 6 players, which I can't imagine a 6-player game of Clank, but
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
yeah.
But such a
So
good
yeah,
game, though. I have faith in it.
yeah. Clank's a good one, and Baron Park. I love spatial games. So you're building a bear park, so that's always a good one. And
I'm mad that you've never played that game with me, Mike. We
yeah,
went we went to the zoo, Mike.
I
You and
know we saw the bear movie.
you saw the bear movie afterwards.
I saw all of the bear movie. You saw some of the bear movie. Lola saw none of the bear.
It was so comfortable in there. Leave me alone. Oh shit.
No.
Well, okay. Your directives were a little loose, so I'm going to
Yep.
give you two.
Sure. I'm probably
Um,
going to go 2 as well. So
my go-to game, if I was to have people over, especially if they don't really game that much, is Flux.
okay.
Flux is my absolute go-to. It's great because when they say, "Well, I don't know how to play," all you have to say is you learn the rules as you go, literally. There's
Mhm.
one rule when you start, no way to win the game yet. Just fucking play it and you're good.
Mhm.
It's a great game. It's a great game for beginners, and it will get people fucking hooked. I can guarantee you, Mike has seen people get hooked because of Flux, and
Well,
like
they're still making versions of Flux, new versions all the time. Still,
it's so good. The Batman Flux,
I
yeah,
mean, like I basically started because of Munchkin, Flux, and Lunch Money. And like Flux. I'll be honest, Flux is the one that got me when we played. I was like, after playing Flux, I was like, yes, I want to play more of this. Yes,
and I will
please.
say that the Batman the animated series Flux is probably the best one. It's definitely the best use of creepers. I love it. But I will say that my all-time favorite quote unquote board game, using that term loosely, and Mike, go ahead and earmuffs, Mike. It's
Mark, they're
Red
ready on.
Dragon.
Ah,
Okay,
I've,
you know what? I'll tell the story.
I've still yet to play a full game of that.
Yeah, Mike did. It was horrifying. So okay, Red Dragon Inn. If you don't know what it is, it's a 4-person game. It's a 4-person game for it to be the best kind of game it can be, Mike. And you're playing 4 adventurers, and you've just come back from adventuring, pockets filled with gold, and you go to the tavern and you drink and you fight and you fight and you drink, and whoever's left standing at the end of the day wins. It's great, especially when you get into character. You pick out your character, and there's got to be like at least 87 of them now, and it's all balanced really well. But you get into character and you play. Now,
that's strike one.
here's no. You don't have to get into character. I'm not saying you have to, but to those of us who like to role play, it's a good addition.
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing: do not play with less than 4 people. Also, do not play with more than 8. That's the sweet spot. No less than 4, no more than 8. Because if you play with 16, one of you is getting fucked.
Yeah, it was me.
Mike got laid on that table and was mercilessly fucked. It was horrifying. You would have been the guy to your left was the first person to go. and everybody went, and you don't get to draw up any cards after you use them. So Mike is like out of defense cards after like the first 2 people, and everybody's like, oh, he's out of defense cards. Let's just go ahead and fucking. It was bad. It was bad, and they didn't have it. It didn't even make it to me before he got put out.
Oh snap!
And it's like we realized the mistake as it was going, and we're just like, oh, and we just have to watch this play out, huh? All right.
Didn't get a single turn.
No, nope. Then there was another guy that almost didn't get a turn, but somehow still made it to him.
That's rough.
Yeah.
The game has scarred me. I've played it a few other times, and then it just goes on forever. It's like
those people.
They're having fun, and they don't want to win the game. They're just having fun in character, and I'm like, just win the damn game.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. No. Oh. I was playing a game of Munchkin like that, where they didn't want the game to end. So, and it's like, you guys, it's the fucking point.
Yeah, that's Munchkin. Like,
they're like, no, I don't want to attack. He's like got 1 hit point left. 1.
Remember, there was an infamous game at the Wolf of people playing friendly versions of Munchkin, and it was driving us insane.
I'm pretty sure that was my game with Dalton and Alex. It was killing me. I was getting so mad at Dalton, and he's just a kid. So I'm just like, okay, I can't get mad at Dalton because he's just a kid. He's a really nice kid. I'm not going to get mad.
I've played games of Machi Koro like that, and I'm like, nobody wanted to win. I'm like, no, this game's going forever.
Oh, I do have an honorable mention as well, so I guess I'm doing 3.
Okay.
Kaido.
Oh yeah.
Kaido is my honorable mention.
I love that game.
That game, I don't care if I lose. It's so good. It's so relaxing.
I have gotten to playing Kaido on my phone. The phone.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now. Just
it
take
is,
more away from small business. Oh, we can get it because we have the game.
Well, right. Takedo actually released for free on the Google Play Store not that long ago. And so, yeah, I definitely downloaded it. And so now I've even played it a few times.
Do you own a physical copy of the game?
No.
All right, here comes a guild decree. Actually, yeah, that could be my guild decree. Buy local. That's the preferred way. Even over Kickstarter. I'll say that. Even over Kickstarter. If your local store doesn't have what's on Kickstarter, then by all means do it. But
which they won't, because the game hasn't come out yet. So
but what I'm saying is, if the only way to get it is Kickstarter, then yeah, go to Kickstarter. But if you have an option of buying it from Amazon or getting it from a local game store, even if it's more expensive from that local game store, get it from that local game store. You're helping a family eat. You're helping a family pay its rent. You're not giving another chunk of money to a billionaire.
Freaking Jeff Bezos. And even if you want a more self-serving reason than that, like even if you're not trying to be altruistic and feed another family, like when you buy games at a friendly local game store, those sort of funds perpetuate the hobby. You know what I mean? It's not just if you buy a game from Amazon, that's just a SKU number to them. They don't care what they're selling. It's just a SKU to them. If you buy it at a friendly local game store, they see the gaming trends. They report those gaming trends to the gaming companies. You know what I mean? Like, you are perpetuating the hobby and making sure that we keep getting good games from now on if you buy from friendly local game stores.
Yep. And that also goes into the whole, let's go back to the whole no gatekeeping, because the more people we have in the hobby, the more they're going to want to put out new stuff, the more stuff we're going to get in our hands. And I don't care how cool these new people are. As long as there's more of them and I get more stuff, I don't care.
Yep. Yep.
I used to be the coolest nerd on the block for the longest time. Not anymore.
So my favorite games, my games I like to pull out. I've already kind of given a bit of a spoiler. I love Betrayal. Like I said, I've got Betrayal at the House on the Hill. I've got Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I've got the Widow's Walk expansion for the original. I was playing Betrayal Legacy all the way up until the Crisis. I just love that game. And what I love about it is you can play it whether you are brand new to the hobby or if you've been playing tabletop games forever. I mean, it's very, just like you said with Flux, it's very easy to explain the rules of Betrayal when you're first starting because it happens in two halves.
Yeah.
And that first half, it's really easy to explain the rules. It's like, just look at this card. You've got that many spaces of movement. Once you draw a card, you can stop moving, and we're just trying to explore this house. That's it.
It seems intimidating at first, but really you're going to be shocked at how simple it is. You're going to think you're playing it wrong.
and then by the time you reach that second half, which the second half is when some of the more complicated stuff comes in, by the time you reach that second half, you've learned how to play the game. Through like drawing cards and rolling dice and things like that, you've learned how to play the game by the time you reach that second half. So like you play that game one time, you know how to play it. And no matter how many times you play that game, every time you play that game's going to be different. You know, depending on what room you draw what card in, you've got a different game entirely, different objective, different way the game works. And then even if you end up with that same game, depending on who is playing which side of that game or how that house got set up in the first half, entirely different experience.
Yep.
So I just love that game and the whole idea behind it. It's just so good. We could probably have an entire podcast on Betrayal, and it would just be me talking for 2 hours. Like no one else would get to say anything.
Honestly, once the Crisis is over, I probably wouldn't mind doing maybe a special episode where we just kind of get together and actually play a game of some kind.
Yeah, we'll have some Let's Play episodes, I think. My second one, since you had two, will be Dice Throne.
Well, because you had two.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my honorable mention. You just wait.
Technically, I had three.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, and I'm gonna get my honorable mention. You wait. Dice Throne is a game I got on Kickstarter because I thought the concept was really cool, and it's basically D&D Yahtzee. You have your set of 6 dice. You play a character. I usually like playing the Fire Mage. But there's like a mage, there's a paladin, there's a rogue, there's a fighter, there's a ranger. And basically, depending on what dice you roll, you're trying to get the same kind of things you get in Yahtzee. Either, like all of one number, a full house, a straight, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, that sort of thing. You can do different powers and fight the other people at the table with those powers. And the entire time that's going on, you've also got a deck of cards that you're drawing from. And that kind of works a little deck buildery because every turn you're getting a little bit more points that you can use to spend those cards on. And you can use those cards to upgrade your abilities and do one-time things to other players. Super fun game.
So I'm realizing how much of a bad idea this podcast was. Because now all I want to do is fucking play these games. I'm thinking of games I haven't thought about. I have forgotten more games than a lot of people even ever know. I've never said that unironically before. Mm-hmm. I legit have forgotten more games than some people know.
Yeah.
And you're like reminding me of games that I've forgotten about. It's like, oh God, I missed that game. I want to play that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And this is the wrong time to be doing it. Like if it weren't for the Crisis, like we'd be recording this episode, we all would have met up at one house, we'd be sitting around a table with some mics, be recording this episode, and after the episode was done, we'd break out some board games.
Oh my God! This episode specifically, we would have been up all night.
Oh yeah, but like because of the Crisis, we're just kind of stuck now. We're all going to turn off our computers and then like Charlie Brown sad walk like off to our beds.
Have you guys done any solo board gaming?
Yeah, actually, I'm
Yeah?
going to talk about that one right after I talk about my honorable mention. My honorable mention will be Sentinels of the Multiverse, and since it's my honorable mention, I won't go too far into it. But I really like that game.
I've
But
never played that one correctly. I want to play it correctly.
it's a lot of fun, and you can play it solo. You can play it by yourself. You can play it solo. A lot, just like a lot of other deck builders, you can play solo. Like I have found myself playing Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Card Game solo quite a bit.
Mike, you know how you feel about like D&D and Red Dragon Inn?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's not go into specifics, but you know that feeling that you have in your heart when those words are mentioned. Just focus on that feeling for a second, okay? I want you ready? Dungeons and Dragons, Red Dragon Inn. Now you feel that right there?
Yeah,
You feel that?
yeah. It's
That's
there.
what I just felt when he said Sentinels of the Multiverse.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
I think me and you have had the similar problem with the same game, but not at the same time.
You're probably, yeah.
I love that game though. I do. I like it a lot.
Well, that's the thing. I've known so many people that like that game and enjoy that game. And my experience wasn't good. So I'm thinking something was wrong when we played it. But
Here's the thing, Mike. That game, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna play this character because he seems cool. And this person was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna play this character because he looks cool. We all picked characters that we thought was cool, and then not even realizing that you have to pick specific characters if you want to win this particular game.
I have had a very different experience.
Well, you played it wrong.
Because that's exactly how I pick my characters. I pick my characters based on who I think looks cool. Or like when I sit down to play this game with people, because I bought several expansions for this game, I have a lot of the heroes. And I'll just ask them, who's your favorite superhero? And depending on who they say, if there's a hero that's anything like that hero, I'll hand them that hero. And we'll go in with that team and like, no, we won't win every time, but like, what good is the game if you win every time? Like, what I mean? There's got to be some sort of challenge to it. But like, we win, I'd say more than half the time.
Okay, so when we played, we picked our characters, but then and I think this was in the rules, I'm not sure, but we randomized everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We randomized the setting, we randomized the villain, and then I think there was another thing.
There is, yeah. There's the setting, the villain, and what is the other one? I forget what the other one is. But yeah, you're right.
But anyways, every time we played, we didn't even come close to winning. We were wiped every fucking time. We're like, are we doing this wrong? And then we would look online and it was these people and it was different. Well, it wasn't even just this one group of people because we would go to another group of people on YouTube. Again, it was the friend that helped me learn how to play Arkham Horror. But we would go to these different channels and everybody was playing the same group every time.
That's no fun.
It was crazy. And yeah, I mean, especially with a game like that touts all these different characters, why would you make it so unbalanced that they can't have the chance of winning every time?
In my experience, the only time, if you really want to win, you have to work together. And that's the only thing. It's like you can't have anybody want to step out and be that spotlight hero. You are going in as a team of superheroes and you have to work together. Like you don't have to play the card that's best for you. You have to play the card that's best for the team. And I've played with some players that weren't down with that concept and we've lost because of that. And they're like, oh, it's just because like, my character wasn't built for it. And it's like, no, you could have played this way and it would have been better for the team. You could have given bonuses to us all instead of giving bonuses to you. And like, we would have won, but
right. Well, we even did that. There was like a character that was providing bonuses, but they had to be providing bonuses and not doing any kind of like attacking or anything. So this person pretty much just sat there and was like, okay, well, I'll just do this. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, I'll do this. And helped out a lot and was actually the last person alive because they weren't taking any attacks. But once they were the last person alive, they stood no chance.
Yeah. I'm sorry you've had that experience with it. Like I said, my experience has been very different. I've been able to play different characters just about every time, and I've had a lot of fun with the game.
Well,
hopefully someday you can sit down with me and we'll play it and you'll have a different experience.
Well, all right, but Mike has to agree to sit down to Red Dragon Inn.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, you don't have to play D&D, Mike, but Red Dragon Inn with 4 people. That's it.
All right. Four.
All right.
Only
Oh
4.
yeah, 4. No. I think it's my opinion. 4 people is the best. It is the best way to play the game.
And you have to try and win the game.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I think if we get this group right, if we get the Casters Guild together to play these games, I think we'll have a good time.
Just the 3 of us, and we'll throw Parker in.
Yeah.
Does it have to be Parker?
Nah.
I'll bring my wife. It'll be fine.
Oh my God! He listens. He's a guild member too, and when he's not in the guild hall, he listens to the podcast, and he's gonna cry when he hears it.
Which is specifically why I said that.
You hear that, Parker? Fuck you.
Damn. Look, we like the guy. We just didn't want him playing Red Dragon Inn with us. Christ.
Parker, I love you, Parker. I wouldn't take you away from all this.
No, Parker likes the game, and he's out for blood when he plays it, so he's a perfect addition. We can always get Marcus involved.
So, Brad, I have a confession here. I'm glad you're sitting down.
Oh,
there's a game that I have been playing a lot of recently. Now it's a superhero game, so that shouldn't surprise you.
Right, a little bit.
It is a Magic style game. It is a living card game.
What?
It is Marvel Champions. It is, and it plays spectacularly solo.
Right.
In the Crisis era here. I have been playing a ton of that game solo. Gotten a few of the expansions, and it's very magic-like. You get the cards in your hand, you pay for them with whatever mana or whatever you want to call it, and it's been it's probably the game I've played the most. Primarily due to the situations.
I've not heard of this game.
It came out late last year.
Oh, that's why I haven't heard of it then. Yeah.
Late last year. It's
made by Fantasy Flight Games, which means it comes with a whole bunch of tokens, a bunch of different cards. There's a few peoples. And what?
Not quite as many tokens, but
more. Are the cards a weird size?
Yes, there's 5 different decks. One of them is teeny tiny.
So kind of yes to both of those. There are tokens for, like, if your character becomes confused, enraged, or one of those typical things that'll happen to a character, but they're in those little, like, 1x3 cards, and there's way more of them than needs to be ever in a game.
Yeah.
There's no way you'd ever need that many of those cards. But yeah, it's a fun game. I've enjoyed it. I don't know if I would ever play with like 4 people like it says you could, because I think you would just get destroyed in 2 rounds. But solo, it's a good fun challenge.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
If I ever get to see you again, yeah,
right.
We'll actually, I still have Lila's birthday present from last year.
Yeah,
which will probably be her birthday present this year.
That's a good way to save money.
Yeah. I wasn't belated. I was early.
That's right. Oh man. And how
do you guys feel about? How do you guys feel about the? You mentioned a little bit with that Sentinels game, but the co-op versus competitive games. Where do you guys?
Oh, I'm always a co-op guy. I don't know. It could be because I'm not good at them, or I just don't like the concept of competing with my friends. But I have always preferred co-op games to competitive games. Now, in the case of like Betrayal, for some reason, Betrayal and Dead of Winter, some reason I love being the fucking traitor. I don't know why. I it's so fucking weird. I was playing Dead of Winter and I got 3 different people kicked out, making everybody else think that they were the fucking traitor, and I was the traitor the whole time.
That's why you love it. You have that. We've talked about this on the podcast before. you have that ability to just make people believe you. You have that innate ability, like no matter
Is that good though? I don't know if that's good.
good, bad, take it as you will, but you have it. You got it. Now that you've said that, I mean, like, you kind of took my answer. I'd love to say that I prefer co-op games, but honestly, co-op games with a trader are actually my favorite type of games. And it's not even just like, I wouldn't say I love being the trader. I love being on either side of the equation. But like Betrayal at House on the Hill, Shadows over Camelot, Dead of Winter, these are my favorite games.
I would like to point out, though, like you said, you like being on both sides. I am fundamentally insulted when I'm not the trader. I am offended when I am not given the trader card randomly. Very angry.
I love leading the team to victory, and I love pretending that I'm leading the team to victory, and instead I'm leading them to ruin. I love both.
I'm not a huge fan of the games with trader. I'll play them, but mostly because I'm usually the one teaching the game. So if there's a trader mechanic, that's an extra set of rules I got to teach. And
that's the best thing about Dead of Winter. You can leave that part out.
Right, right. But yeah, so it's just extra rules, and especially I tend to teach games to people that don't play a lot of games.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole other set of things that. But if I'm playing with people who know what they're doing, yeah, I have no problem with that. I always seem to. I can get a co-op game to a table a lot easier than I can a competitive game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're playing Pandemic or Horrified or just some co-op game. I can get I think some people don't feel they have to do it all themselves. They have help on their turn.
The irony right now,
teach and that way,
the irony right now, by the way, is Pandemic would be the best game to play right now.
So 2 years ago, I had a group of guys and we started playing Pandemic Legacy, and we got about halfway through, and then just our lives happened and we could not finish it. The only way we were able to finish it was at the beginning of all this, before the total lockdown. We actually had the time in a pandemic to finish Pandemic Legacy. Finally get it.
That's awesome.
But now we have season 2 and we don't have time to play.
So, nor the social closeness.
Right. Yeah.
Opposite.
We sat down with cameras, hoping maybe we could figure it out, but so far we haven't.
Yeah, board games are hard.
Yeah, you really do need to be there. There are some games you can kind of get away with it, and they do have those apps, Board Game Arena, Tabletopia, some things on Steam, but it's just not
Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, they are just not the same.
I do find myself, like, my wife likes to play Ticket to Ride.
Oh, that's a good one.
And when my wife wants to play Ticket to Ride, we will sit down and play it together on Steam rather than pull out the board, just because it's easier setup and cleanup.
Yeah, especially with that game. Yeah.
Have you seen the thing with was it Alexa with Ride? They have set it up. I think it's Alexa. Well, it's got to be Alexa. That she can be a player, or she will run the game. You have to have a physical copy of the game, but
sure,
you can have her as an extra player, or she'll keep score and everything.
I don't trust computers playing board games. Honestly, the app version of Catan has ruined me to Catan. I hate Catan. I hate it.
I still, to this day, have never played that game.
I hate it.
I have never played that game.
Do you want to hate it?
No, I'm good.
And don't download the app.
But like everybody, like when I say I like board games or like I like tabletop games, everybody always brings up Catan, and like that's the one like everyone has played and everyone knows, and I've never played around, not even one.
Mike, what were you about to say?
Oh, so Catan is the game right next to Monopoly that has ended more friendships.
But though, I will have to say that Catan is also, in my opinion, Catan is also the game that really started the whole board game craze that really was ripping through a few years ago.
Yeah, it came out in 95, and It came out in 95. Magic came out in 93. Those were the two games that kind of started over here in the US. Playing different games other than your normal roll and move and classic, Clue, Monopoly style games. There's different games. And then Ticket to Ride comes around in 2004, and so many different versions of that game now.
Such a good game, though.
It is. It's just so simple. It's, in many ways, it's a lot like Candyland. You just got to get enough of the same color cards, and then you can move there. And it's a simple mechanic people can enjoy. As I'm teaching games a lot, you realize you have to make it simple.
Mm-hmm.
And playing things in simple bites, and if you've never played board games, you'll figure it out, and it's fine. When I teach people Clank, the first thing I tell them is, just bear with me as we go through these rules. This is going to sound like a lot. But when you play a turn, it's all going to make sense. And it's going to flow super, but these are things I have to tell you. It's going to sound like a lot, but it's not.
Well, as someone who teaches board games to people, what is your, like, if, let's just say you're trying to get people hooked on board games, what would be your go-to game?
Oh, well, Ticket to Ride's an easy one. Pandemic is an easy one, even before this whole thing. Is a good one. Splendor.
Oh,
Splendor.
Splendor. God damn it, I love that game. Anyways, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, Splendor. I think people just love playing with those little poker chips.
They're great. Those poker chips are better poker chips than you can get at the store usually. Christ.
But games like that, and I like those games because they have simple mechanics. If I could teach them, maybe not Clank, we'll play one of the many versions of the DC deck builder game.
Yeah, those are
And
fun.
if I can teach you a mechanic, then I've taught you a whole bunch of games.
Oh,
So
especially like a deck builder game.
Yeah.
Period.
Mhm.
That's so many games right there.
Yeah, so that's what I like to try to find the simple mechanic of a game, and try to make it a game under an hour with teaching. Maybe go a little bit more in that.
That's fair.
And if you can find a game, Baron Park, I can teach Baron Park to a lot of people because it's very Tetrisy. You've got these little polynomials that kind of fit in like Tetris. So that's something people can relate to and pick up pretty quickly without.
Oh, wait. I did play Bear Park with you.
I'm pretty sure you have.
I have. I take that back. I'm sorry.
You haven't played
I've
the
played.
expansion.
Huh?
You probably
No,
haven't played the expansion, but
No. And I only played it the once, and it was fun, but I didn't really get into it. Just like the Terraforming Mars, I didn't really get to play it again and really get into it.
right, that's the game you have to play multiple times because you learn the cards. It's got,
Oh,
I forget, 150 some individual different cards that
yeah.
you have to
And I
learn.
think I was drunk,
Never
Awesome.
easy to learn something when you're drunk.
especially that game.
I assume your answer to the same question would be like Flux.
Me?
Mhm.
I haven't taught in a really long time, but Flux, uh, speaking from someone who let's just say I am looking at it from the perspective of I'm trying to sell games.
Mhm.
Flux, definitely, because it's easy and it gives people the illusion that they'll be good at any game they pick up after that. So, and then like you play Flux, and then you're like, oh, you should try some Munchkin. Let's play some Munchkin real quick, and it's a little more complicated, but I think you'll enjoy it. And then you just get that excitement going just with Munchkin, and yeah, it is a downward slope from there into chaos and madness.
Well, one of the things I love to do is try to find the right game for the right person,
Definitely.
Mhm.
and that may end up being the theme, or it might be the mechanic. And I usually ask people what kind of movies they like, what do they like to do, just hobbies. So you try to figure out their mindset. If they want to do something quick, they want to do it fast, slow, take their time. You got to figure it out, and then theme. Even if the theme's not that strong in the game, it's still enough to maybe hook them.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you know someone plays D&D on a regular, I mean, fuck, right there, I've got Munchkin, Red Dragon Inn, I've got Lords of Waterdeep, I've got all these games that I can just like, well, you're a fan of D&D, here you go. Or if a family walks in, then I take them over to Cheapskate Games, and it's like let's try these. I bet you'll like these as a family. So, yeah.
For me, it's always been about party games. Like just the situations where I've been in where I can teach somebody how to play a game. I've got to teach 8 to 12 people all how to play this game at once. And so I usually end up with something like Cards Against Humanity, which I hate that game at this point, but like I still play it because people love it, and it's a good party game. And One Night Ultimate Werewolf with a Bluetooth speaker is usually a really big hit. Like if I have a bunch of people who've never played a tabletop game before, I pull that game out with a Bluetooth speaker. I let the Bluetooth speaker explain what they're supposed to be doing, how to play the game. We usually have a false start or two, like, you know what I mean? Like someone we go through the first night, and then like somebody's like, I didn't really get what I was supposed to be doing. But then we try again the second time, and then we'll spend hours playing One Night Ultimate Werewolf over and over again, just because people get really into that.
Ultimate Werewolf, I just want to make a comment. Ultimate Werewolf is fun, but it's never going to beat the original Are You a Werewolf for me.
Sure.
Oh my God. You need 15 people to play.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the big benefit to Ultimate Werewolf, but oh my God, you get enough people playing Are You a Werewolf? Oh, it will turn into a bloodbath if you're not careful. I'm pretty sure I almost saw a 13-year-old boy kill his whole family with his bare hands one time. It was great.
Well, the great thing about that game too is like you don't have to go out and buy some fancy game to play it. You can look up the rules of how to play that online and then just play it if you've got enough people.
Well, I mean, you couldn't do that back then when I first started playing it, but yeah, I mean that game is really and really easy to reskin.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have to be about werewolves. You could change that into anything you want.
Mafia is a big, like some people don't even know that game is werewolf. They're just like, that's Mafia.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They've done the One Night Ultimate was their aliens, their superheroes, vampires. Yeah, there's several versions of that. I will say when you get to the social deduction games, boy, that turns me off almost as fast as Red Dragon Inn.
Oh yeah,
Guild Train.
Guild Train. Woo, woo.
Is there a guy hauling toilets outside your door there?
I think that's the Dice Master shipment.
Finally got here. You better go get that, Brad.
Bringing it back around. I'm going to open the store back up now. Oh, okay. So you said social deduction games turn you off just as much as Red Dragon Inn?
Oh, I can't stand them. Like Secret Hitler was a big one that our group had played a lot, and any game where you're trying to figure out who everybody is, it just
holy crap! You're right. I saw you suffer through one. What the fuck was it? It was a work of fucking art, though, watching Mike play this game.
Like that storytelling games, also not in my wheelhouse. I can play them. I just it might have been that Batman game. I forget there was a Batman social deduction game I had.
Well, no, you did play this. The other one I'm talking about is the one where you had to steal gold or something like that. We're all bank robbers.
Bang?
Yes, I think it was Bang. Wait.
Yeah, because someone's a sheriff, someone's the.
No, it's not Bang. But that is another one.
That one's not too bad. At least there's something going on, but
I can't remember.
But yeah, those are painful. It comes down to having a bad game experience. With
sure,
you're trying really hard to win this game, and then you realize that they don't care. They're just flipping a coin, literally flipping a coin on the card they play. And I'm like, you've just ruined an hour of my time.
Yeah, and that also makes it really difficult for you to do any kind of deduction, because if you're trying to figure out somebody's move and like how they're playing, and like you're trying to deduce, are they on my side, are they on the other side, based on how they're playing, and they're just playing at random. I mean, like it makes it literally impossible for you to play the game effectively.
Yeah, that's why any game I play, I need strict rules and everyone to play by them. And
Yeah,
uh,
I will say that I have, like, in games like that, like when they do literally like pull out a coin to see what they're going to do, I've actually made house rules that stated you can't do that because it's lame.
Yeah.
It's a coward move.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's funny that in a lot of the fundamental, I wouldn't say fundamentally. I think fundamentally, Mike and I are pretty solidly similar. But once you get into the extraneous stuff, we can't be any more different. Like, I love the fucking social deduction games. I love the storytelling games. But yeah, but that kind of dynamic worked great when we were, working at the store, because I would have my core games that I'm like, okay, I'm ready for these games, and he's like, I've got these games, and it's perfect. There was one time I came to the store and he was out in the car playing with himself with one of the board games. It was a card game that you could solo play. It was a baseball game.
So
Yeah.
he was messing with his bats,
Right.
His balls and bat.
Right.
Yeah, bat and balls.
Bat and balls.
Just like regular people.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to, Mike. That it was too good the first time I did it. It's going to be good the other 100 times I did it too.
Yeah. I see they came up with the Facebook memories. I'm like, oh,
I know.
yeah.
I was just about to say that. It was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was recent. It was recent.
It's crazy.
It was recent. Have you guys played any of those roll and rights? They seem to be everywhere right now.
What's that?
The roll and write genre of games. Welcome to, what's the ones I got?
Welcome to the Dungeon.
Nope, just called Welcome to, and it is, you're like a city planner, and it's all about. You flip over, you have to organize numbers, and they're like kind of like Yahtzee type games. And I know my board game, my board game group. That's everyone plays all of these. On Tour is one I just backed on.
Yeah,
Kickstarter
I've not heard of
recently.
any of these.
Yeah,
All right, Mike, come over, teach us. Come over.
From 6 feet away.
We just do a 6-foot-long gaming table and stand at opposite ends. With like the craps table, like sticks to move pieces around.
I have a table. We could do that, I think. Oh man, yeah. This is a painful podcast.
Yeah. Well, I do have a game coming, I think, next year for you, Brad. It's the Moonshiners game.
You have my attention.
It was a Kickstarter. I'm looking at to make sure I don't mess up the exact name of it. Moonshine Empire. And you brew your moonshine and then tried to deliver it via boat, hovercraft, walk it in, drive a truck.
Dodge Chargers.
I could live that game if I wanted to. I live in Tennessee. Like, it would take 2 seconds for me to get involved in that business.
You want a job?
It was one of those games that talked about like Kickstarter. I kept watching the whole thing. We got down literally within 5 minutes of the whole thing ending, and you see that they have reached all the stretch goals. Did you see all the bonus stuff you get for, was it $55 or $60?
Wow.
You're like, I know I'm going to end up with this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well get it now and get more stuff.
It's true.
Might as well get all those stretch goals.
Yeah.
So I guess this kind of leads into this question then. And man, I don't think I'm going to be able to contribute to the answer on this question because I've not done a whole lot of research lately. But so I guess I'll posit it to the two of you. But mainly, Mike, what game or games are you, not counting Moonshine Empire, are you super excited about coming out?
Wow. Well,
Betrayal Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Betrayal Scooby-Doo.
I mean,
Rick hasn't lost his heart on since it got brought up.
No,
I think for me it's gonna be Marvel Villainous. is coming out. You're familiar with the Disney?
Oh,
So
what?
Disney Villainous came out last year,
Uh-huh.
and that's you play as the Disney villains and you play through their movies. They announced they've got like 3 expansions for that game. Well, this year they're bringing out Marvel Villainous, which you play kind of more together. You all play on the same villain deck, but you can be, I think, Thanos, Hela, Doc Ock, and I can't remember who the other starter
Let's
is
hope they
going to
left
be.
Red Skull out of it.
He'll be there eventually.
I will judge the person that plays the Nazi.
But yeah, that I'm looking forward to. And then I've got 2 Kickstarters, the On Tour coming on, and then Tiny Epic Dinosaurs.
Wait.
Should be August-ish. There's the Tiny Epic line. They've done a whole bunch of Tiny Epic games.
Yeah, okay, that's where I've heard it from then.
Yeah, they've done. There's probably 8 other Tiny Epic games from all over the place. Whether it be there's a Western one, there's a couple space ones, there's a fantasy one. So, but I know one thing with some of my board game industry friends, no one's really sure what's going to happen the rest of the year. What these games are scheduled to come out.
Yeah.
Are they going to get made on time? Are they going to come out in time? Origins here in Columbus has been delayed to October, but realistically, probably isn't going to happen. Gen Con has not been canceled yet, but based on the way things are going, I can't. Even if they have it, it won't be to the scale normally.
Oh, and everybody's going to be going into it with a completely different social mindset too,
and financial.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes with like the Spiel des Arts in Germany. That's going to affect things. If Gen Con and the Spiel get canceled, those are the 2 big dates for the board game industry as far as new games coming out. Gen Con for the U.S., Spiel for Europe, and so that's really going to affect things, which I think is going to be strange because who's going to be able to provide games on time? It is going to be Target and Walmart because of they have the resources to get the game released on time. Their games, their exclusive games. So it's going to be real interesting how the rest of the year plays off as far as that goes.
I'm really excited about, from what I understand, there's another set of Keyforge coming out. I'm really excited for that. There's a title I heard of called Return to Dark Tower. That looks really good. It's got a lot of really big names attached to it. Like, it's almost like a dream team coming together, if you will. Like this guy from this game company, this guy from this game company, this guy from this game. They're all coming together to make like this board game that they all want to make. It looks really good. And they're coming out with a entirely Baby Yoda edition of Monopoly that as much as I don't like playing Monopoly in general, like I'll get that just because it's Baby Yoda.
I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at a version of Monopoly, the Garbage Pail Kids version today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Very nostalgia hit me with the nostalgia, but it's still Monopoly.
Yeah, it is still Monopoly.
Have you seen the real versions? I can't say the gag versions, but they made the longest Monopoly game ever. It's literally 2 boards, and there's like a board in a board. And I've seen a few people on YouTube talk about it, and they're like, I don't think anyone could really ever play this game. It would just go on literally forever.
I will say there have been things that have made Monopoly, bearable. Like if I'm going to play Monopoly, I'll play it on a video game system, and I will play with the speed die. The thing about playing on a video game system, one, you have to adhere to the rules, and nobody ever adheres to the rules when they actually play Monopoly, which is why it takes a game that should be about 1 hour and turns it into 6. And with the speed die, it's like an extra red die that you add to the normal 2d6s that you roll. It basically forces you to go to like unknown spaces. And once the unknown spaces are all taken up, it forces you to go to your opponent's spaces and pay out money. So like it makes that game really quick. I've also heard really good things about Monopoly Gamer, which I haven't played it myself, but I know there's at least 3 editions out. There's like the Mario edition, the Mario Kart edition, and the Overwatch edition. And depending on what character, what little piece you choose to play as, like each of them gets their own different powers that you can use during the game. And I've heard good things about the game. I've never played it myself, but
That's cool.
you can also buy expansion packs for Monopoly Gamer. Like if you got like the Mario version of Monopoly Gamer, you can go buy new characters for it, and they come with new cards and new powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard it's a playable version. That's how it was described to me. Is a playable version of Monopoly.
Yeah, I think I want to, like with Monopoly, I would love to sit down and actually play it the way it's supposed to be played. Because a lot of people don't play it the way it's supposed to be played.
Nope.
Like Uno, most people don't play Uno correctly.
See, I don't even. I mean, is there an incorrect way to play Uno? You just follow the cards, right?
Oh yeah, there's lots of different incorrect ways to play Uno, depending on how you interpret the cards.
Yeah, usually comes to whether you start stacking, pulling 2 or 5 or whatever.
Gotcha.
Different cards, but yeah, that's if it wasn't for those games, we wouldn't have the games that are good now.
Oh yeah,
you're right. Absolutely, absolutely. Still think Clue's good.
Oh yeah.
And I was never a fan of Clue, but also a deduction game. So
I was about to say Clue was like a step away from being a social deduction game, which I was about to say would make that game better. Is if it was a social deduction game, like started out and you draw like the traitor card, and one person knows they're the one that did it, so they have to try to sabotage the game throughout the rest of the thing for everybody.
Now they do have things like that. They're like the dinner party packs, and you can buy, and as people show up at your house, you hand them a character, and they play that throughout the night.
I want to do that so bad.
And I think I would enjoy that. I think that would be fine because it's more immersive.
There's a band too. They're like a steampunk pirate band called Abney Park, and they released their own version of a like murder dinner party game, and you can buy it for them, and it comes with a copy of their album, because like the album is meant to be played while you're playing the game, and it seems really cool. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
No, I'll say too that speaking of kind of this stuff like that, those escape room board games are kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that they would work out as well as they did, but
I really like the Unlock series.
Yeah, the Unlock, those are the ones you can play. You can get more than one play out of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Escape series where you only get one play out of them.
Because you're essentially ripping apart everything.
You are, and they're both fun. There's a lot of those games coming out now. There's, I think, actually a Scooby-Doo escape room game coming out as well.
All right,
Scooby-Doo games coming out.
Add to cart. Hold on.
Well, they're all supposed to coincide with either the movie or the DVD release of the movie.
Right.
That's all messed up as well. There's a game I've been playing recently, the Chronicles of Crime, and it's a escape room mystery, solve a crime type game. But what makes it interesting is that you use a smartphone or a tablet, and you keep scanning these QR codes, and they give you the information as you're interviewing suspects and information. And what's also cool about that game is developers have opened up the materials so the community can create their own stories.
Oh, that's cool. Like a high-tech version of Time Stories, kind of. I don't know if you've ever played Time Stories.
Similar, yeah, kind of in that. Yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah, it's a fun one, and that's always a fun one with new people too, because you're playing together, trying to figure out this mystery, and then you got technology, which always gets people involved. And
yeah,
there's a bit.
Oh, I was about to say, so most people, when they do podcasts, they'll take notes before. I really feel like I should have been taking notes throughout this.
You can always listen to it after I post it, and then you can take your notes throughout.
Yeah.
I have like 3 or 4 pages of notes going into this. So.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's normal prep, and here I am, like, man, I should have been taking notes throughout this.
Just when you re-listen to this podcast, just make sure you log into a different account so it still counts to
Right.
Each time.
the play.
I'll use a few different dummy accounts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
log in like 4 devices at once, all on different accounts. Listen to it surround sound all at once.
Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up now. We have had the most chaotic conversation throughout the course of this time together. Yeah, I really don't even know what to say. I'm actually just super excited to get out and get on Kickstarter, get on Amazon because I can't go to my local game store and track down all these games that you two have been talking about. So yeah, and meeples of peoples. Yeah, there. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Casters Guild. Make sure to check out the new episode release every Monday, and check us out streaming live on Twitch every Sunday.
For right now, until the crisis is over.
Right. Mike, thank you very much for coming on. We look forward to having you on again when we're actually playing some games, and maybe we'll do some recorded plays of some of these games.
Thanks for having me. I still got my decree, right?
Yeah.
None of us used our decree.
Last
Yeah,
time
no.
I did. I used mine.
What was
Yeah.
yours again?
I forgot. What?
The shop local.
Oh yeah, shop local. Shop
yeah,
local when you can. Shop local. That excellent guild decree.
So I got mine, and I decree that Red Dragon Inn is not a good game.
Ooh.
Oh
Yeah,
ouch.
yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
You didn't do anything about it.
That's a guilt decree. Yep.
That might be a little bit of retaliation of a previous decree I heard.
I will say my guild decree. My guild decree will be whatever your favorite game is, that is the best game.
Wow. Kind of. We'll add to you. To you.
Yes, to you. That is the
Because
best.
you would totally be counteracting. You would be totally counteracting Mike's guild decree.
Whatever your favorite game is, that is the best game to you. Get out there, play some games, have some fun, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
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 We're gonna need some more. We're gonna need some more buys out of this guy.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Or just bye. I don't know how to buy.
I was actually half expecting a harumph out of you.
And get a harumph out of that guy.